Hey folks, this is Ben Vandenbos with the Sawtooth Avalanche Center. We're out here on an east-facing slope at 7,600 feet in our Banner Summit Zone. And as you can see behind me, the snowpack here is significantly deeper than in our other areas. Even though that's the case, we still have a similar layer of weak snow buried in the ground. It's relatively obvious in the pit wall here. I'm going to do what's called a cross-slope propagation saw test. I'm going to isolate this column, run my saw along the weak layer of snow underneath, and see how long it takes for that fracture that I'm starting to propagate to the end of the column. All right, the column's isolated. I'm going to take my saw, insert it at the base of the snowpack there where those weak facets are, and run it along the weak layer. Now what this test is doing is it's simulating the start of a fracture with the saw and asking the question, what happens if I'm able to start a fracture on that layer of weak snow? You may be familiar with another test called the extended column test. In this test, we're tapping on the top of the column, trying to simulate both the initiation of a fracture and seeing if it propagates across the column. When the slab gets deep like this, and it's dense and it's thick, it's really hard to impact weak layers like that. But what this test has shown us is that if we are able to impact that weak layer, maybe in an area where the slope's a little bit, the snow's a little thinner, a steep rocky area or something like that, it is possible to propagate a fracture, create an avalanche, and because of how thick this snowpack is above the weak layer, that would produce a very large and very dangerous avalanche. So even as we see the likelihood of triggering an avalanche on this weak layer decreasing, and eventually see danger coming down, the hazard posed by this sort of an avalanche won't decrease.